All right, hello again, everybody. Thank you for jumping on for another amazing episode of Tales from the Pantheon. Today we have James Oliver on this episode, but before we go into that, also, if there's any delay on my screen and everything, please don't hate me. It is currently still storming in Austin, Texas, and so my internet is interneting. But without diving too deep into that stuff. Essentially, Tales from the Pantheon is a no BS podcast where we go deep into, different topics with industry experts, founders, investors, community builders, ecosystem builders, and really just leaders within their fields to talk about, their journeys, their pathways, as well as all of the amazing things that have made them what they are today, and providing just the learnings and leadership tactics to provide to our viewers, right? So for this podcast, I know it might not seem like it depending on where you're viewing from, but we have probably about like 5,000 to 10,000 folks that view every single episode with us so far. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell everybody, really. Let me go ahead and also say why we do this podcast. So Titan AI is our company. It's really a system that helps you not just find out who and what you should engage with, but also really why they're relevant and how to stay engaged for your professional network. We have a lot of amazing tools with that AI recommendation system, as well as just being able to have a personal CRM and a lot of community elements for running and managing large scale communities for professional ecosystems. And so we actually just launched another amazing live update that retools a lot of things, is able to kind of update our AI, connection health systems, and a lot more amazing tools and features. Would love to dive more into that, but I know you guys are really here for the show. So let's go ahead and before we dive in, bring on Jordan. So if you want to introduce yourself really fast, Jordan.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Quillen. I'm a rising senior at Babson College. This summer, I'm excited to be serving as an operation, marketing, and sales intern here at Titan AI. So far, it's been a really incredible experience. I've had the opportunity to learn from some amazing leaders, advisors, and from Gabe himself. And getting to hear James' insight has been especially fascinating through LinkedIn. So I'm excited to hear today's conversation, and I'm grateful that you joined us. Throughout this episode, I'll be monitoring the live chat. So if you have any questions or comments for James, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat. We'll do our best to bring the conversation and answer as many questions as we can. Thank you for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan. And she's been an amazing asset to the team. She's working with us through the summer and hopefully beyond. But she's been fantastic. And like she said, she'll be monitoring the chat, engaging with you guys, and has helped to put a lot of the episode together today. But yeah, without further ado, let's have Jordan operating in the background, and we're going to bring on our amazing guest. How we doing, James?
Good, man. You hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you perfectly fine. Looking good. Your audio and video isn't delayed like mine, so even better. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna be off to the side because you are the star of today's show. I am just a what is it called? A healthy bystander in your amazing story. So let's go ahead and without further ado, if you want to give a brief introduction on yourself, just let everybody know who you are, what you're working on.
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name is James Oliver Jr. I am a co-founder of the World's Cutest Twins, husband to an amazing wife, and founder of the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund, which pays for mental therapy for startup founders. Author of the book Burn Bright, Not Out, Shattering the Silence Around Mental Health and Tech Startups, which is arguably the most important book about founder mental health ever written, because 90% of the book's net profits go back to the nonprofit, which actually helps to solve the problem. And I'm actually about to turn our mics on. I just told you a few minutes ago, Gabriel. I'm starting a new podcast called The Founder Exhale, where I'll be sitting down with successfully exited founders to talk about what their mental health journeys were like while they were building, launching, and selling their startups. So super pumped about that.
Yeah. And so James actually just told me about the podcast setup. I know he mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that he was getting it started. We're really excited that he has that up. He was kind of going through all the links very fast. So we'll gradually have some of his links as we normally do throughout the episode here. But let's go ahead and just dive more into your journey, right? So I know you've spent years as, a founder, mentor, author, community builder, and that's selling everything very short, right? So looking back, what originally pulled you into entrepreneurship?
Oh man, I just think that's what I am. I don't I'm the world's worst employee. I mean, from back, I can remember back in high school, I was like selling stuff. I mean, when I got to college, we had a production company. um, and then after business school, I was trying to launch a digital lifestyle magazine for Black golf enthusiasts in a pre-iPad era. People thought I was crazy back then, but I was looking at the business model. I was like, the cost of printing and shipping these things is ridiculous. I could deliver this thing digitally. I remember people telling me I was crazy. It doesn't seem so crazy now, though, right? So yeah, and on and on and on. It's just, I mean, founders gonna found is what we do, right? Just can't help it.
Yeah. No, that's the entire process, right? Being able to, kind of develop, iterate, learn from all the amazing things that happen, but also kind of, learning from the different mistakes as well. But speaking of teaching moments, so what did your first startup actually teach you that, no book, mentor, or accelerator ever could?
I think so. My first tech startup was back in 2013. I was a non-technical founder, and I'd clean out my savings, last $35,000 of my savings, to write custom code to let you turn your digital images into removable photo wallpaper. And at the time, my kid's mother, decided she wanted to have kids. So we did IVF and put in 2 embryos, and lo and behold, 2 kids. So what I learned there is don't clean out your savings and go to do a startup and then decide to have kids while you're doing
that. No, I know. I know a couple of founders that have kids and everything. I know, man, it's difficult raising a child outside of just this in normal circumstances, right? But actually doing that while trying to run a company, especially
trying to start, go from 0 to 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like trying to get something off the ground.
No, that's not a good idea. Learn that.
Well, you have a beautiful family and set up, so but what was so was there a moment when you realized that the impact that you're making might extend beyond just building that first or single company?
Yeah, so I think especially with the work I'm doing now around founder mental health, and we've given about 90 mental therapy grants out, and just to hear back from founders to talk about how that's helped them, I think it's great because 72% of founders are dealing with some aspect of mental health challenges when they're building a startup, and 81 or so percent of those people are actually suffering in silence. So the fact that they would take advantage of the resources and then come back and be like, this was super helpful, like, thank you, that means a lot, right?
Yeah, no, we've talked about this a little bit, right? So for those who are unfamiliar with what you're doing right now, so the actual company that you're working with, what it does, what problem it solves, and then diving deeper into why you actually decided to build it.
Oh, so that was a question. I'm sorry, I thought you were saying something there. I apologize.
No, you're good.
So what am I building? So the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund pays for 4 free virtual therapy sessions through betterhelp.com, or if a founder has their own therapist, we will reimburse up to $300 for that. So we also have some resources, because it's not just about therapy, right? Like, I'm always thinking, like, how can we go upstream and help people so they don't have to see a therapist or in between their therapy appointments, because in some cases, like, it takes a long time to get in to see a therapist if you're doing it in person. Virtual is different, but in person can take a long time. So we have David Coe, who's gone now, but he was the CEO of Calm. He gave us some premium 3-month Calm subscriptions. So I think we have about 30 or so of those left. And now I'm partnering with Yuna, YUNA.io, which is a mental health AI app. and they donated 300 free licenses. The app costs $200 if you buy it from the Apple Store. It's primarily a B2B2C product, but I use it every day now, and it's like my mental health companion. And man, I freaking love it. It's so amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, even just talking about a lot of the mental health aspects, I know that's one of the areas that I used to be very good at. I don't know about now. It's very difficult running a company or even just running multiple projects like I normally do now. And so it's a lot of things that I think people don't really talk about as much as they should, or we kind of gloss over some of the major mental health aspects, right? Of like, how like all this normally with this societally what's going on, but also just adding the additional weight or barriers with mental health regarding, just building an actual company, right? Because you're building something that not just sustain yourself, but also other people, right?
Yeah, man, I hate looking at myself. You got me up here big in the middle of the screen like this. Can you put yourself next to me? I can't stand looking at myself.
I can put it on the side. It'll be a little bit.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my God. So I apologize. What was your question there?
Yeah. No, basically, just stemming from the mental health aspect, it's just a difficult path or a difficult road for everything when you're looking at that from those perspectives, right? But let's talk a little bit more about Kabila, right? So, how does community play into what you're building there?
So I don't have. I've run a few communities in the past, right? Like I had one community, it was up like 2,000 members, and I had one for another project startup I had that was called Kabila, and I think we had about 500 members in there. So I'm not like building community per se like that, because we were like over on Mighty Networks. But one thing that I am doing that actually, I don't know if we talked about, but I just started these founder mental health walks. Did we talk about that before?
Yes, that's what I was kind of bringing in from that.
So it's called the Founder Exhale, just like the podcast, and I have well ambassadors who we're doing a pilot, right? We got 7 cities, so it's actually not 7 cities, it's 7 neighborhoods, because some cities, like I live in Metro Atlanta, and here in Metro Atlanta we have 3 walks, one over Marietta, one over in Johns Creek where I live, and one over in Decatur. So we have well ambassadors. Initially, we had people just raise their hand and volunteer to go lead a 1-hour walk once a month. No agenda, no pitch decks, no nothing. It's just founders prioritizing themselves, going for a walk to move, connect, and breathe, I think is a tagline that we have. So super excited about that. So, I guess that is, in fact, one way that we're building community. And so now we're actually paying our well ambassadors like $50. We're a nonprofit. We're paying, hey, like take an hour, pay you $50. Like that's pretty good, right? I mean, if you're a founder and you're building, you're grinding, $50 can help buy groceries, right? So I think that's good, and I'm excited about that. We'll start scaling that up eventually. Like, who knows? Maybe I can get a sponsor for that and put some money toward that. And we could really scale that thing up and get some more people, and maybe even pay the founders a little bit more money than $50 for the walks.
Yeah, so that's amazing for all the different work that you're doing there, and just being able to provide additional, resources, right? I think that's it's extremely vital, because I think a lot of people that aren't in these ecosystems think, oh, founders got all kinds of money and all these different things, and really, I mean, hell, even half of the money that I'm making now goes directly back into the company. I'm not paying myself a salary or any of that stuff right now, right? It's just like doing a lot of contract work and other things outside of the company, right? Because it's a very difficult process to actually just keep everything sustained on the personal side.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, so in regard to some of the other work that you've done. So, Techstars mentor, you've worked with a lot of like the other community systems, like you've said. So how does community actually kind of play into, founder success, right? We could talk about the accelerator angle. We could talk about from the mental health angle in regard to building a community around yourself. But, what does that really mean?
So to minor correction, actually, I was not a Techstars mentor. I went through Techstars, actually Techstars Austin, It's the original.
Okay.
Right, went to Austin before it closed. But I think, you know, there might be different ways you want to define community, right? But I think at the end of the day, you need to have like-minded people in your circle, and it's good to have other founders. You know, you want like people who are founders at various levels. You know, you want somebody who's like beneath, you know, maybe you're just getting started. Somebody who's like just thinking of an idea, right? So you can maybe be helping those people. And you want some people on the same grind level as you if you're just getting started. And you want some people who've been successful and maybe exited their startup who could, you know, be like a mentor or sponsor for you. And by the way, I think sponsorship is greater than mentorship, but, you know, mentorship can be helpful too. So I think that's super important. Just have people around you who understand what you're going through, because like, let's be honest, like your family members probably just like, yo, why don't you go get a job? I'm like, cause I'm the world's worst employee. That's why I don't want one. And let's be honest, again, when you get so much entrepreneurship all over your resume, like nobody wants to hire you anyway. So there's that. Yeah.
Experience that. Yep. It's like overqualified and or exactly qualified. And everybody's
like, whatever. I don't want to work for you or anybody else anyway. So whatever.
Yeah. Or they think, oh, you're not going to stay with us because you want to, you know, build your next thing. Like, oh, you want somebody
like, yes, that's
20
correct.
years, even though we're probably going to lay you off in 5. You know,
yeah, that's correct. I'm not sticking around. That's right.
Yeah, right. It's like I was like, I might. I don't know. Depends on what's the benefits package. What's it look like? You know,
not really. Yeah,
exactly. So, yeah, when we're talking about a little bit around the networking side, right? Because I feel like a lot of business owners, just in general, like they aren't fully taking advantage of or kind of building around that network around themselves. And then that kind of plays into the founder loneliness kind of setups, right? So what's some of the biggest mistakes that, you know, entrepreneurs make when they're trying to actually build out their professional networks?
Well, that's an interesting question, because when you say professional network, for some reason in my cobweb filled head, there's like dissonance between professional network and startup founder. But I will say, you know, you have to build community before you need it.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things I noticed from founders, especially early stage founders, is they feel like they don't have anything to give, because they're like, you know, they're hustling, trying to get connections so they can get customers. They're hustling so they can get introductions so they can raise capital. And they're just like, I need. But really, you know, you have a lot to contribute. And you know, one of the things that's great about, you know, Techstars is this give first mindset, right? This give first mantra. And it's just like giving without expectations of getting anything in return. And I think that's the way, like when you give first, people see you giving, and then they want to help you. So I think you have to go into these spaces and places with a give first mindset. And one question that people love to ask is, how can I help? Well, I don't love that question, because it puts the onus back on me. I'm already over here trying to figure out all the things, and now you're like, well, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. How can you help me? Like, I don't really know that much about you. I don't know what your relationships are. I don't know what your network. I don't know what you can do. I don't know. I think a more appropriate thing would be to, you know, take genuine interest in somebody, what they're doing, ask questions, listen, and then figure out how you can be helpful and just go help. And then do it in a way that you don't expect anything in return. And so this is a really remarkable book I listened to 2 or 3 times called Give and Take. Have you read that or listened to that book?
I haven't actually, but I'll add it to the list for
sure. By Adam Grant. And it's a partial spoiler alert, so I apologize for that. But this is one of my biggest takeaways from the book, is that, and it's counterintuitive too, because, you know, if you're like, give. Well, actually, no, like, you know, Gabe, if you were in a relationship with somebody and you were giving all the time and the other person was simply taking and not giving anything back to you, would you stay in a relationship like that?
No, yeah. No, that's
not.
not something I would.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, right? So
yeah,
you have to give with your own self-interest in mind. And what that means, I'll just encourage you to go read the book. And maybe Adam Grant's listening to this, and maybe he will actually, I sent him a copy of my book. Maybe he'll go read it.
Right.
No, I did. I was emailing with his assistant about it. I sent him the digital copy. maybe he'll read it.
Yeah.
So the book's
no,
available on Amazon. So that's a shortened link for Amazon. Go read it on Amazon.
Yeah. Let's dive more into the actual book, right? So, what inspired you to write, Burn Bright, Not Out?
I wasn't going to at first. I was so Daryl Frater introduced us, and Daryl connected me to Django Degree, who's the founder of Focus on Words, which is this AI book generating platform. And because Django just wrote Daryl's book for him, I think it's Micro Impact, Macro Impact, Micro Obedience, something like that. I think it's what it's called.
We had him on the podcast previously for the last episode, and that what is it called? The longest book title ever, but an amazing book though.
Micro Obedience, Macro Impact. Is that what it is?
Something around there, yeah. It's a much longer, like, normal title, but it's like
well, I got a long subtitle too. Can you put the book put the book cover back up there? Yeah, you can see I got a pretty long subtitle too. It's let's see. Oh, you can't really read it right there, but underneath Burn Bright Not Out, which is short, shattering the silence around mental health and tech startups. That's not short, or is it? I don't know. Anyway, so Django, Daryl introduced me to Django. And he was just like, hey, I know you wrote a book a while ago, which I did a long time ago. It's called The More You Hustle, The Luckier You Get. You Can Be a Successful Parentpreneur. I wrote that to help parents who are entrepreneurs be the best parent and entrepreneur they can be. That's the realest book about entrepreneurship you probably never have heard of, but you probably should. So I'm talking to Django, and he's like, yeah, do you think you want to write another book? I'm like, yeah, well, I probably got another book in me. I thought that I was going to write a book about how to help overlooked founders increase their social capital, because I'm looking around, I see they're making a few mistakes here and there. I'm like, maybe I could add some value in this space. But then at the end of a 30-minute call with Django, we started talking about the work that I'm doing with the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund. He was like, man, I really appreciate this. My mental health journey has been really challenging as a founder, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why don't we just write a book about founder mental health? He was like, yeah, let's do it. And he said, I'll tell you what, like, after we break even from the production side over here, like, I'll donate the rest of the money back to the nonprofit. I'm like, boom, say less. So that's how we got started with the idea to write the book. And the book is really interesting because it's not prescriptive. We're not telling anybody what to do, right? We simply got a bunch of founders and investors. Techstars CEO David Cohn wrote the foreword. Brad Feld, who's a legendary investor, is one of the first VCs to start publicly talking about his depression and OCD challenges back in like 2013, 2014, which is when I met him. He wrote a chapter, and just some great founders and just some remarkable stories. And the book's awesome, man. And this is great because I didn't actually have to write all of it. So that was the best part.
That's the good part. I mean, hell, right? To sync me up as well, because when we talked about it a little bit for me trying to write and publish my own at some point, so we dove into that when we were doing our intro call. So yeah, that's definitely something that's on the list for me as well. Putting some more knowledge and information out into the world, right? But why do so many entrepreneurs feel like they need to actually kind of like suffer in silence, so to speak?
Partly because they think that they're alone. And that was actually one of the common threads in the book from so many of the investors and founders. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone, right? It's not weakness to ask for help. It's actually strength. There's a lot of stigma around that. So nobody's raising their hand and say, hey, like, I'm having a really hard time right now. Why? Because they feel like everybody expects them to be like superheroes, white knuckling it. Investors are like, oh, you're uninvestable, you're unhinged, blah, blah, whatever. Go find another investor. I mean, it's easy to say, but you want to try to find investors who are values aligned with you. So, but that's why I think they try to go it alone. They just think they're alone, but they're not. And we're trying to shatter the silence in the subtitle of the book, trying to normalize these conversations. We're not trying to. I am doing it. I'm not trying to do anything. I am doing it.
Yeah. When 100%, right? So I know, like if somebody were to read through the book right now, right? What's one? And there's several lessons and a lot of really good content information in it. But if they were to implement at least one lesson from the book, like now or tomorrow, what would be one of those big things that they could?
I mean,
Now,
do something, right? You got to do something, and everybody in the book was doing something different. Some people going to a therapist. Like, man, I have two therapists. Right? I got one for general life stuff and one for toxic co-parenting drama. And now I'm using Una as my daily mental health companion. So that's like it's not a therapist, but it's a mental health companion, and it's freaking awesome. Some people go for a run. Some people do yoga. Some people meditate. Like I ride my bike. Do something.
yeah, 100%. What, at what point did, founder mental health or wellness really become more of a mission rather than just simply kind of a personal concern for yourself?
All right. So this is a bit of a long story. So apologize in advance. But, I mentioned back in 2013, I cleaned out my savings, and, the kid's mom wanted to have kids. And so did IVF, put in 2 embryos, having kids. Yay. And holy crap. Like I'm scrambling. I'm out of dough. I'm living 1,000 miles from friends and family in Northeast Wisconsin. And, but I got into Generator in the Madison cohort starting in January 2013. Kids were supposed to be born March 27th. And the program was over top of April. So I'm like, all right, cool. The timing of this all works. A day or two before the program started, regular checkup, they were like, yo, your son's blood's starting to do something weird. And if it starts to go backward, we'll have to do an emergency C-section. So they checked her into the hospital. It was going backward. Boom, emergency C-section. Oh, by the way, the kids are 3 months premature, right? So they only weigh 2 pounds each. And I'm driving back and forth 2 hours to the NICU in the accelerator, waking up every morning at 2 a.m., like crying every day. So I remember demo day, I got a call from an investor group. They were like, hey, we're going to fill your whole round right before I went on stage. I was like, what do you mean? I was only raising $250,000 at the time. Mm-hmm. We're going to fill your whole round, right? So I just dropped to my knees. I cried. I thank God, right, after everything I went through during all that. My daughter came home after 6 weeks. My son came home after 10 weeks, still wasn't doing that great, but he's good now. So that was that journey, right? And then like the product was brilliant. Without a publicist, I got it on the Today Show 3 times, Good Morning America, Money Magazine, DIY Network, Martha Stewart's blog, on and on. But it never by the time I figured out who my real customer was, we're just out of money, it never really caught on. And so we out of money. I'm back home taking care of toddlers, trying to resurrect my startup, which I had a little bit of success because the investor who told me to my face the first time when I thought they were going to put some more money in, we were running out. He's like, I'm not going to throw good money after bad. I don't know if you ever had an investor tell you that to your face. That's not good. But he came back and he's like, yo, we like your leadership. We're going to give you another $100,000. Like, all right, cool. It's just me now. And I'm just jamming and egging it over here, but whatever. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate that. So my startup's failing. My mental health is failing. I didn't have good mental health hygiene. I didn't know much about it. I wasn't seeing a good therapist. And then on top of that, the kid's mother filed for divorce. So you add that on top of the steaming pile of poo I was already dealing with. Right. And it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2024, I think, and I'm going through VC Lab to launch a VC fund, a venture fund. It's going to be called Kabila Ventures. And that was going great, actually. I was getting a lot of commitments, and I was on my way to doing the first close. But then the new administration came into the White House, and I hit a brick wall. I just was getting nowhere. And I recognized that my mental health was being negatively affected. And I went back to one of the slides on my fund deck that there was a slide called Founder Value Add slide. And at the time, it felt like a throwaway slide. But on that slide, I said I would give my co-founders access to mental health and wellness resources. So I was like, you know what? My brains are scrambling right now two most important things to me are to be a good dad, be a good husband. And I can't do that if my brains are scrambled. So I'm going to put a pin in this venture fund, and I'm going to go launch a nonprofit and help provide mental therapy resources and grants to founders who want them but really can't afford them. So that's how we got here. And I already told you how I went from there to the book. So that's how we're here now.
Wow, that's really definitely a hard hitting story, right? And I've heard a lot of heavy hitting stories from entrepreneurs over the last decade, just being in this myself, right? And it's like everybody's kind of going through their own struggles. Like it's definitely more of a hard road for sure. I mean, I've even in the process with Titan, like I've had family that have had health issues and stuff like that. I've even, like, we talk a lot about the entrepreneurship side, but even as like early startup employees, right? Like even as like for operators and stuff, I know there's different things that I I went through or everything, especially like when the funds are low and the debts are high kind of scenario with everything, right? Because I think we don't talk enough about that. We talk a lot about the entrepreneur themselves, because I mean they're taking a lot of heavy blows, but even when shoestrings or bootstraps and everything start to get a little bit tighter, it's a tough process, not only just for the founders but also for the rest of the teams, and even sometimes the people that are working with us, right? The people that, like, our families and stuff. Like I know I've had some tough conversations even with my family and my parents and stuff, just kind of diving into, is like, why are you still, like, I know you've heard this because I've heard this, like, why are you still doing this? It's like, are you okay? Like, you can go to any Fortune 500, like, be able to get a good 6-figure salary or whatever it is. And so it's like,
can you though? Is it that easy?
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, oh no, tech layoffs and everything some founder side started to look a little bit brighter. Because I mean, I know a lot of folks that founders and angel investors and everything alike that just been laid off from a lot of companies, even for their day jobs or whatever it is. Even just really, really brilliant people. Like the numbers are still growing, right? Hopefully things start to even out or be a little bit easier as we go through. But I know these last I would say 10 years, right? Like 10 years have been a lot tougher, especially as different trends have sparked in the last probably year is it? How many years have we been in this current administration setup? A year and a half. Like, this last year now has been a lot tougher.
January 2025,
yeah. So it feels a lot longer, but I know even there's always something big happening or some big shifts, and that plays a lot into our mental health as well. Right? Like I used to watch the news all the time. I'm barely even. I try to watch the news once a week now, whereas before I would watch it every day, keep up on current events. Now I'm just like, I don't even want to know what's going on currently. I just need to
it's too chaotic and crazy, man. I mean, I read on the internet stuff, like follow like Mediaite is one website I follow, but I don't watch the news, man. I don't do it.
Yeah. I know. So you've spoken openly about like neurodivergency, right? So, like, how does it begin with actually viewing that as a strength versus a challenge, and how like that can play into just mental health in general as well for entrepreneurs?
I have spoken about that. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I talk openly about the fact that I have ADHD.
I think it was on a podcast or something you had previously done. It could have been briefly. We were looking through some of the stuff.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I always say I have ADHD. It's true. Like I don't. But so the thing about mental health and wellness is, I feel like when you're doing some of that, you start to have a certain level of self-awareness, and I'm pretty aware. Like I know when I'm not feeling well. I know that I have ADHD, so I know that there's certain types of things that if I have to do it, it's going to be really hard for me to do. Like if I got to build a financial model, for example, right? I mean, you could probably get AI to do it real easy now, but back a couple of years ago, I was building my own from scratch in Google Sheets or Word, Excel or whatever, right? That kind of work is so tedious. and it's so hard for me to focus long enough to do. So I know that I go to YouTube. I have a channel. A song is like a focus channel I listen to, and boom, I put that thing on for 2-3 hours. Man, I can power through some stuff. So that's how I manage it. Self-awareness is important, but I also feel like, in some ways, like for me, ADHD is a superpower. Like I feel like I'm in a matrix. I'm like Neo, like, you know what I mean? Everything else is moving so slow because I can see like 2 and 3 steps at a time in ahead sometimes. So that's from that standpoint, like for me, it's helpful. But it's not that way for everybody. I just listened to Andy Dunn's book, Burn Rate. You know that book?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great book. So that was, just listening to Andy talk about his story about bipolar challenges, and Andy's great, man. I sent him a cold email, asked him if we could collaborate around the work that I was doing, and he was just like, "Yo, just email me back in 10 days, and I'll donate $1,000 to the nonprofit." I was like, "Wait, what?" And he did, right? He did. And, he's a successfully exited founder. He has a new startup. It's called Pi, P-I-E. It's a social events platform. We're putting our founder Excel walks up there. And he's a perfect example of why I'm starting this podcast, because, I learned the hard way back in May that because I have a lot of relationships, but I was reaching out to a lot of investors to see if they would support, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're raising money for the nonprofit. Overall, investors they're not that excited about supporting founder mental health. They're just not. But what I learned is that founders who successfully exited, they're keen to support. Like they will, like I said, I just reached out to him, Cole. He's like, "I'll put in a stack." Right? I'm like, okay, I'm on to something here. Right. So I'd rather play with the people who, and they're inspiring, right? Early stage founders want to hear from founders who walked over the coals, right, and made it to the other side. So that's a reason I'm excited to spin up the podcast too.
Yeah, no, it's so some people know this, some people don't. I guess it depends on. I think I've brought this up on this podcast before, but who knows? And if you're just watching this episode for the first time, or it's your first experience with this, because I've got ADHD, also bipolar as well. I've actually talked to Andy about some of that stuff as well. He was in Austin. We had like a little conversation around it, and talked with we were talking about Andy with Andrew Young. It's like a year ago, and so we were chatting about Andy for a little bit as well, because they co-hosted an event together during South by, I believe, like a year or two back.
Andrew Young?
Andrew Young.
I know Joe.
Yeah, doing all the startup events and everything.
Yeah. The Y-U-N-G Young. Yeah, different guy. I know.
Yeah. And so we were talking to some of that stuff, because it's like it's also like, we're not shouting from the rooftop the neurodivergence or the neurospiciness or anything like that, right? But
you call it neurospiciness.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what Gen Z is calling it. Oh no. But what is it called? I'm trying to update my younger and hip language, because what is it called? I've been told I'm old, or I have an old soul, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever. Like, young people would be blessed if they live to be old, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
And so you talk about, like in the book, Brad Feld, he said that anyone telling you that having OCD is a superpower does not have OCD.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it just depends on, because I know that there's advantages and disadvantages for it. Like, hell, if I'm manic, I'm on. But if I'm depressed and I'm in my hidey hole or whatever it is, it's not a good look, right? It's a much more difficult process. Like when you're going through and figuring out, like, oh man, I don't even want to work on anything. I got to get out of bed, got to do all these things, got to hit up my therapist and all that, and blah blah blah. Like it's a very different setup, because and also I think it's just mindset around some of those things too, right? Like, how do I view my mental health? How do I view some of the because I think a lot of people also tie it into the stigmas, or we only talk about the bad parts of it, right? So I think it's also not necessarily glorifying anything, but also just talking about the real realities behind some of this stuff, right? Like even with with ADHD, like you said, being able to, I have that same thing, like being able to see a couple of things a few steps ahead, or having a lot more ideas or creativity around things. But at the same time, I also know, if if the non-focus kicks in a little too hard, then it's more of a struggle than you would see with your average founder. So it's just like how you're viewing that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, also the self-awareness comes into play. If you know that you're starting to feel a certain way, to go do something about it, and in some cases what to do about it. So
Yeah, no, 100%, right. And so, diving deeper into the future, right? So what do you have the most optimism around when it comes to entrepreneurship?
I think it's cool, man, being able to use AI to build. Right, you don't so much need a text. You don't need a co-founder as much anymore. Right, you could build. But I read an article, maybe it was a blog post or something, or maybe it was a social post, I can't remember, about what I just said is true, but it's also true that if you're working by yourself all the time, like it's harder. Like if you need to have somebody you could like offload some of the crap in terms of what's going on, right? So you're just dealing with the body blows, as you call them, on your own, which goes back to why it's just really important to be taking care of your mental health and wellness. So, but yeah, I think these tools are really exciting. I just got some personal things going on. I just haven't really had the creative space to go start building using like Claude Code. But I'm expecting by the end of this year, I will have the capacity to do it. And I cannot wait to see what I come up with. Will it be something in the founder mental health space? I don't know. I was talking with one of the guys who wrote a chapter in the book, Nick Merritt, his chapter is phenomenal. He talks about how he sold his startup to Linktree, and after that, he was burnt out. It's like, wait, what? You had experienced the Holy Grail, like you sold it, and then you're like, that was super counterintuitive. But he was like encouraging me to go build some stuff. He was like, oh, go to Lovable and you could build some stuff around like the founder mental health operating system kind of thing. So I don't know what that would be or could be. I don't know, but we'll see. When I get inspired, I'll go do something. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's all these AI tools, everything right now. It's become a lot easier, and some of the barriers to access for building and iterating quickly, especially in the earlier stages, are way easier, I think, than they've ever been, right? But I mean, even the founder mental health operating system, that might be really good. The only thing you might run into is we ran into, and before we did our pivot into Titan AI, as investors or even just everybody, like, oh, founders don't pay for anything. That's what a lot of people say. But
they
also,
don't.
It's like
they don't.
They pay for, yeah.
But you're also assuming that I'll be going to investors for anything. I don't. That's the thing. Like, if I built something and it was on a side hustle and it was making $1 million a year, I automated as much as I can and go build something else. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
Well, even I challenge the notion of that, though. I still to this day do, because for like founders do pay for things. It's like everybody else, like you pay for things that hold enough value or enough weight where you actually.
I mean, they do, right? Like I pay for all these, the V.io, StreamYard. Like we pay for these things, right? So
yeah, I was like, if founders don't pay for anything, then where's most of my money going? Right now,
you pay for the painkillers, not the vitamins, though, right?
Exactly, right. So it's no, I mean, it's love to, if you end up building that, you need some ideas or feedback around it. I mean, definitely, we've done a lot of research on that.
I don't even know if that's something I would do. That's just something Nick said that I should do, and we're digging into it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still got some amazing things going on with the book and the current projects you're working on as well. So I mean, adding more stuff to the plate also, so it's very difficult, right? But what do founders need the most right now that they may not be getting? I mean, it could be around the mental health side, it could be around other areas, but is there anything additional access wise that people really need?
I do. I think they need more access to mental health resources. I think they need more access to awareness about why they need that. I don't see a lot of it, man. And the social media platforms don't reward, like LinkedIn. I posted the other day how I intentionally just started talking primarily about founder mental health, and like my engagement like went through the floor. Like I think over the last year, my impressions were down like almost 50%. Right. And I used to post on LinkedIn, and like I was on pace, was it 2024 to get to, when I got to the bottom of 2024, I was like, okay, 2025, I'll be at 10,000 followers, like no problem. And I would just post something on LinkedIn at a minimum, like average impressions were like 600. It could just be like some basic. Now, like 600 impressions is a breakout post for me. It's like, it does not show my content anymore, but like I don't care, because like I'm still like connecting with some incredible people and building some great relationships with some people. So you know, the social media is not rewarding me for talking about founder mental health.
Yeah, I think there's a question that came in the chat from Evelyn that we can check out here. Also, if anybody has any other questions, we've only got a little bit of time left here, but if we want to dive into this one, so basically says, you know, James, how do you think about startups building the opposite of the AI trends, right? So people, interactions focused startup.
Yeah, I don't know. So if I was still going hard raising my venture fund, I would probably have a perspective on that. I don't know though. Like I feel like I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, a friend of mine. And I think AI is a bubble. I think, like you got the giant players, right? They're still going to be eating all the capital, because that's what's happening, seems like. And the giant funds eating all the capital, or most of the capital. But you know, and if companies are not going to be able to show ROI for all this massive investment, like I see some articles where they're spending more money on tokens than they were on people who were doing the dev work before. If they're going to have a hard time justifying the ROI, will they be able to continue spending on it? And if employees don't want to use the AI, like when those two things converge, I think there's like a reckoning coming. So I think there's going to be a bit of a bubble bust there. I can't say how or when, or I think if you put a gun to my head, I'll say inside of 5 years, but I don't, this is just me looking to my gravy covered crystal ball, right? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts on this. We talked about it in a couple of previous episodes as well, but that I feel like that's a whole session in and of itself, diving into, you know, AI versus, you know, more people-based interactions and everything. I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that we've kind of researched and studied as we're building up this too. So it's a heavier topic that we I wish we could dive in more for that one, but let's go ahead and pop into our lightning round if we have enough time for one more.
There's another question. You want me to answer that question that's up on the screen in the chat, or no? Sorry.
Did another one come in? That was okay. So yeah, so this is a question from Jordan, actually, that she just put in. So Kevin had a chance to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is an interesting question. I don't know exactly, but I know I did a podcast with I think it's called a CTO podcast, and he's over, I think Mehmet's over in Dubai, maybe. And he was talking a lot about this. So based on how he was talking about it, I think there are some differences, some cultural nuances to what you're asking here. So yeah, I think so. I haven't really dug into it, but I mean, that makes sense, right? Different cultures approach things differently. So
yeah, 100%. Let's but now let's jump into my favorite portion of all of this, which is the lightning round setup. So essentially, I'm going to ask you some magical rapid fire questions here. Try to keep responses, you know, quicker and more concise for these. But yeah, you ready to get some quick rapid fire ones?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, awesome. So, what's one underrated ingredient for founder success?
Underrated, maybe resilience. Maybe it's not underrated though. People talk about that, I feel like, but I think it's super important.
Awesome. And so what's
self-awareness? That's a good one. That's underrated. Go ahead.
Yeah. So next question here. I know we've talked a lot about mental health on this, but just to kind of you know, wrap it up in a nice bow, or at least give some additional action items. What's one thing that every entrepreneur should do for their mental health?
Do something. It's like care, make a decision that, you know what, I'm going to do something about my mental well-being. So once you do that, then you can go figure out and experiment what that's going to be that works for you, but just go do something.
So next question here is, what's one book outside of yours that every founder should go read? Obviously read your book, but
I mean,
what's one
like
books in addition to
mine,
the book?
outside of my, in what respect, for around mental health, or just, I mean, I
In
read a
general,
lot.
yeah. What's could be around mental health, could be around any
I
topic.
mean,
What's one book you recommend?
I read recently the Book of Forgiveness, which was remarkable. It was written by Bishop Desmond Tutu and his daughter Umpo. That was a remarkable book. Remarkable.
Fantastic. And then what is it called? What's one thing you want your children to remember about your work?
Well, I mean, they see it now, right? Like I take them on the founder mental health walks, right? They'll be doing dad jokes on my podcast. So I just want them to know that I worked with, passion and purpose, and I was, gave it 100%, and I did it excellently all the time.
No, it's amazingly stated. So we've come to the end of the questions here. Let me go ahead and remove this guy. But yeah, just for some final call outs for everything. How can everybody connect with you? How can they learn more about what you're working on, follow along?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you send me a connection request, I'm at James Oliver Jr. Please add a note and say, hey, I heard you on, Gabe's podcast. It's because I'm admittedly a bit of a LinkedIn snob. I get LinkedIn requests all the time. And the second you accept them, here come the nonsense DM pitches, right? I don't. So, but if you connect me, say, hey, I heard you on the podcast, boom, say less. I'll connect with you. You could go to KabilaMentalHealth.com. If you want to be a donor, you can make a tax-deductible donation there. If you want to get access to resources, we have a wait list. Just get on the wait list, and we actually have capacity now, so I could get you signed up. If you want some free mental therapy, you could go there. And what else? We also have, I mentioned Una has could donate 300 free licenses. There's a button there if you want to try out the Una Mental Health Wellness AI app. You could go there, click a button, it takes you right to the page. You can sign up for free. We'd love to get your feedback about it if you use it. But yeah, those are some ways. Go buy the book, right? Go to Amazon.com and buy the book, Burn Bright Not Out. The book, as I said, 90% of the net profits of the book go back to the nonprofit, which helps solve the problem. So from that standpoint, it's the most significant book about founder mental health ever written.
Love it. And want to give some quick shout outs and everything as well. So for all of you guys that are watching, if you were not following us on LinkedIn for Tales from the Pantheon, please follow us on LinkedIn. There's the handy dandy fancy QR code. Please go ahead and scan that and add us there. Also, if for those of you that are still using Facebook, we got one of those. You can go ahead and scan those. You can also follow us on what is it called?
Twitter.
X and Instagram.
Twitter.
And Twitter. What is it? Yeah, Twitter. Exactly. Yeah. Like what is
Twitter.
It called?
Not gonna stop calling it Twitter. It's Twitter.
It's definitely Twitter for all of us. I add in the X stuff now. I've tried to gradually work it in because I try to search for X on my phone or Twitter on my phone. And I'm like, damn, I can't even find it. I got to type in the letter X
Twitter.
to find it. But yeah, you can also follow us on all of the fancy LinkedIns, and of course, make sure that you guys are actually jumping on to Titan AI. Some of the things that James mentioned earlier in the call for actually being able to just assess the health of relationships and kind of being able to just really find the right connections and maintaining your network and everything. We talked a little about that. Our system actually does and helps you with a lot of those follow-ups and remaining engaged, finding the right opportunities and circling them in and out. Especially, we built out an entire warm intro system like we had talked about. When everybody asks, how can I help? We've already built that in so that you actually know exactly how they can help you, being able to tell everybody kind of what you're working on, what your needs are, as well as, being able to classify, hey, I'm a founder, I'm an investor, I'm a small business owner. I'm just, where is it? Not just, but I'm a startup employee or whatever it is. and then being able to just kind of build that community or network around yourselves. And finally, and last but not least, Restream. So that is what we're using to stream this podcast. Like I've said in the past, my stuttering is because we've got fancy storms in Austin right now, not because of the actual system itself. Great audio and video quality, as you see with James on the side. So definitely check out our partner there. If you guys have any podcast needs, you can get 20% off with the code Restream20, courtesy of us as well. But yeah, that's the main follows and facts and fun. Thank you so much, James, for coming on today. I really appreciate the time and diving into all of my questions. Definitely glad I was able to learn a lot more from you. And yeah, happy to as people come in or as requests come in, kind of filtering and sending those over to you from this, because we do get a lot of inbound sometimes from a lot of folks that want to connect and stuff like that too. So thank you so much again. I'll also bring Jordan, if you're ready to be brought back on screen, give a quick thumbs up, just so I can see and know before I just magically put you on the screen. I see her smiling, but I don't see any magical thumbs up. So okay, she's gonna come on.
Sorry about that. I thought you were looking for an actual reaction to.
Oh yeah, no, there's no reaction
for that icon. But yeah, thank you so much for taking your time to join us on the podcast. I will admit, guys, I have never heard the term neurospiciness, but I'm happy to help you both with some other Gen Z lingo. But on a serious note, yes, I did really appreciate how transparent you were about your journey and your motivation for building resources that help entrepreneurs. One idea that stuck with me in particular was your advice about building a community before you need it without expecting anything in return. It definitely challenges the way I perceive networking. With only 1 year left before graduation, I often find myself into how can I make the most with every opportunity, and that mindset is partly influenced by the culture over here in the US, but I did just recently study in Italy, and I think you kind of reiterated that mindset as to share skills, whether it's brainstorming ideas or helping someone, or just being that person that someone can rely on. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jordan, as well. And also, because we've talked about mental health, if you guys need help or resources or anything like that, please reach out, say something. Don't just, operate in your silos and just let things build up or boil over. Make sure that you're, just taking a lot of those perspectives in that we've talked about today, and just making sure that you're taking care of yourselves as you continue to work on whatever projects that you currently have active, or even future projects as well. Obviously, at the end of the day, not even obviously for some people, but like your health and your especially your mental health is extremely important. So making sure that you guys, for everybody watching, I'll take that into account as you continue to grow. But thank you all.